They thought it would be another routine project. The Zalvator, a species with dominion over countless worlds, had perfected planetary engineering. Their scientists scoured the stars for habitable planets, transforming them into paradise. When they discovered a lush, resource-rich planet in the outskirts of an unremarkable solar system, they barely gave it a second thought. Earth was primitive. It lacked interstellar technology, and its inhabitants were weak compared to the genetically refined species in the galactic core. Terraforming would take a few centuries at most, and then Earth would be ready for colonization. They deployed automated drones, atmospheric processors, and bioengineered microbes, an efficient system designed to mold a planet to their specifications. The plan was simple: accelerate evolutionary processes, eliminate unstable species, and introduce controlled genetic improvements. The Zalvator had done this 1,000 times before. Nothing had ever gone wrong. Until now. The first sign of failure was subtle. The microbes they introduced, designed to stabilize and enhance planetary life, began mutating beyond control. Earth's natural bacteria didn't just absorb them, they fought back. Instead of breaking down and assimilating as expected, Earth's microscopic life adapted, becoming hyper-resistant and more aggressive. Within months, entire ecosystems had begun evolving at an unnatural pace. Then came the predators. What should have been slow genetic refinement turned into an uncontrollable arms race. Simple animals developed heightened intelligence. Predators became faster, stronger, and deadlier. Herbivores evolved extreme defenses, venom, armor plating, even biological countermeasures against predation. The planet itself became a sentient war machine, constantly adapting to any interference. Still, the Zalvator believed they could contain it. They increased drone activity, deploying suppression measures to slow the mutations. But their technology was too late. The drones began failing. Not due to technical errors, but because something was attacking them. Bioforms previously classified as harmless had learned how to disable their systems, exploiting weaknesses the aliens hadn't even considered. The very terraforming equipment sent to reshape the planet was being corrupted, overtaken, and repurposed by Earth's own organisms. Panic spread through the scientific outposts. The Zalvator had encountered dangerous worlds before, but nothing like this. No planet should be able to fight back at this scale. And yet, Earth was winning. They had no choice. The Zalvator pulled back their operations, abandoning their stations and erasing all data on Earth's transformation. They couldn't risk this knowledge spreading. The galactic community had strict containment laws on worlds exhibiting extreme evolutionary anomalies. If word got out, Earth could be quarantined, or worse, targeted for complete destruction. The final act of the Zalvator was to classify Earth as a Class 14 Deathworld, an uninhabitable, hyperlethal planet never to be approached again. And so, Earth was left alone. A world they had tried to reshape, but instead had forged into something monstrous. The galaxy forgot about Earth. But Earth did not forget them. Humanity was never supposed to survive. The terraforming disasters should have wiped them out. The planet had become a crucible of endless struggle, where only the strongest endured. Every day was a battle against an environment that viewed life itself as a challenge. The weak perished. The unprepared didn't last long. Only those who adapted could carve out an existence. At first, humanity fought desperately, using crude tools and primitive tactics to stay alive. But soon the changes began. The human body, once fragile by galactic standards, evolved in ways no one had anticipated. Immune systems became unparalleled, capable of resisting poisons, infections, and diseases that should have been fatal. Reflexes sharpened, endurance skyrocketed, and the human pain threshold became something unnatural. A predator's bite, once lethal, became an inconvenience. Wounds that should have killed healed at an accelerated rate. More than biology, it was the mind that adapted. Humans learned faster, reacted quicker, and developed tactics to overcome even the most impossible odds. They didn't just survive, they thrived, mastering the chaos around them. But survival wasn't enough. They turned their attention to the very forces that sought to destroy them. Animals that had once hunted them were now domesticated, bred for war, for labor, for companionship. Poisonous plants became tools for medicine and warfare alike. Venoms were refined into biological weapons, and deadly creatures were shaped into living instruments of destruction. The planet had become an unrelenting nightmare, but humanity had embraced it. In the depths of jungles, in frozen tundras, in the scorching deserts, wherever life had tried to kill them, humans had adapted, overcome, and turned their enemies into assets. What should have been their graveyard had instead become their stronghold. They were no longer just survivors of a death world. They had become its masters. The galaxy never expected to hear from Earth again. For centuries, it remained a ghost world, an abandoned experiment, a name spoken only in hushed warnings. No ships traveled near its orbit. No records detailed what had happened. The classification alone was enough to ensure no species dared approach. Then the signals started. At first, they were dismissed as background noise, rogue transmissions lost in space. But when deep space probes intercepted structured patterns, the truth became undeniable. Something was alive on Earth, something that was not only surviving but had developed technology capable of reaching beyond its atmosphere. The Zalvator were the first to investigate. It was their mistake, after all. Their failure. They had an obligation to understand what had come of their abandoned project. They expected ruins, perhaps scattered remnants of whatever had clung to life. Instead, they found a civilization unlike anything they had encountered before. Earth was not just alive. It had advanced. The first reconnaissance fleet never made it back. What little data was recovered painted a terrifying picture. The humans had harnessed their death world, turning its horrors into weapons, its unpredictability into strategy. They had built warships not from cold metal, but from adaptive alloys, bioengineered to self-repair and evolve under stress. Their technology had no weaknesses because it had been forged in an environment that punished weakness with death. The Council convened immediately. The mere idea of humans expanding beyond their world sent a wave of fear through the galaxy. They were not just survivors, they were something else entirely. A species tempered by a world designed to kill them. A species that had turned every disadvantage into a strength. For the first time in history, a simple truth settled over the galactic community. If humanity ever left Earth, nothing would be able to stop them. The warnings came too late. Despite every effort to contain them, humans had broken free of their world. Their ships were unlike anything the galaxy had seen, living machines, self-repairing, self-adapting, crafted from the very horrors that had once hunted them. Where other species relied on shields and armor, humans used biological countermeasures, adaptive plating, and weapons that evolved mid-battle. The first contact outside their system ended in disaster. A patrol fleet from the Galactic Council, acting under orders to intercept any human vessels, was wiped out in minutes, not through overwhelming force, but through precision, strategy, and an understanding of war that no other species possessed. They didn't fight like anyone else. They anticipated every move before it was made, exploited weaknesses before they were found, and turned every failed attack into an opportunity. It wasn't just technology. It wasn't just training. It was something far worse. ***. They had spent centuries fighting an enemy that never stopped evolving. And now, they had brought that same ruthlessness, that same adaptability, to the stars. The Galactic Council had a choice: declare war or establish peace. Some argued for immediate extermination, but no one dared fire the first shot. No fleet was willing to test what humans were truly capable of. Then the first human emissaries arrived, not conquerors, not diplomats, but survivors offering terms. They did not demand submission. They did not threaten war. They simply let the galaxy see what they had become and asked a single question. "Do you really want to fight us?" The Council never responded. Because they already knew the answer.